At this time, we're going to transition into our educational aspect. Each DECM, we have assigned this year for one of the divisions to be in charge of the education session for learning purposes. This DECM is being presented by Division B. This time I would like to transition this stage over to Division B Governor Sandra Kolb.
We all want our clubs to be fun and healthy. Yay! But part of that health is growing our membership. Trying to bring in new members, however, can be a frustrating exercise. We tried that open house last year and we didn't get any guests. Never mind new members. Our club has been in this city for 10 years, and the Chamber of Commerce doesn't even know we exist, let alone how we can help them. What can we, as members of Toastmasters clubs, do differently to effectively grow our membership? Kyle Hall and Elena Brenna are going to answer this very important question. Kyle Hall, Area 21 Governor, is a brand new DTM, a 23-year Toastmaster, a two-time area governor, a past division governor of the year, and has been a club officer ever since before there was dirt. During the past 5 months, Kyle has made an intensive study of the art of effectively growing clubs. Elena Brenna, Division B Assistant Governor to Public Relations and Division B's Advanced Clubs Vice President of Public Relations, has been a writer and editor for nearly 3 decades as her career in making her living. She is Advanced Communicator Bronze. Elena produces corporate histories, newsletters, website copy, even a few news releases to both large and small businesses, local and international in scope. This afternoon, Kyle and Elena will share with you a range of membership building activities and provide you with a clear set of steps in how to grow your clubs. And even, perhaps, a renewed desire to try. Kyle Hall.
Thank you, Sandra. So a little over 23 years ago, I joined a club in Bellevue called Golden Bell. And they met at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. You gotta be a special kind of nuts to join a club that starts at 6:30 a.m. And after about 1.5 years, I found myself as president. So I did something that I thought would be a good idea. I surveyed the club. And one of the questions I asked was, how big should we be? How many members should we have? And when I tallied up the results, the club thought we should have 26.5 members. Now we had 27 members. So as president, I went, great, I don't have to worry about membership. And I completely ignored membership for that year. And then one of the older diehard members of the club, something happened to work, he was gone. Somebody else, his work moved somewhere else, he was gone. Somebody else got a divorce, she's gone. Our club started getting smaller. Well, that in itself should have told me something, but I'm a little thick. Sometimes it takes me a while to learn. And about 6 months into my year as president, a young lady walked into our club. She saw our sign out on the sidewalk, and she just came in. She liked what she saw, and she joined. And I felt the energy of the club change. And then 2 months later, a gentleman walked in. Somebody had invited him. He walked in, he liked what he saw, and he joined. And the energy of the club changed again. And this time, it finally sunk in. Membership is not only critical to achieving DCP goals and so forth, it's important for keeping our clubs vibrant. Every time we get a new member, the energy of our club changes just a little. Now, before I go any further, there are handouts for this session, and they are in the front set of tables. So if you're in the back and you don't have a handout, move up front. There's seats over here with handouts sitting at them. Now, as an area governor, I've been going around visiting my clubs, and I have several clubs that are sitting in that really awkward 10 to 12 member size. Now, I say really awkward because with 10 to 12 members, you can have a meeting, and usually all the roles are filled, and sometimes a member doesn't have to do something. But it's a really awkward space because what a lot of people don't realize is all you have to do is lose 1 or 2 members, have a business close, or a divorce or death, have 1 or 2 members, and suddenly your club is struggling. Suddenly, every single meeting you have to have a role, and sometimes 2 roles. And suddenly meetings become tiresome, and people start getting worn out. And they start going, gee, I wonder if I want to stay. So that 10 to 12 range, a lot of people can get really comfortable there. But what they don't realize is it's a very dangerous place to be. Your club can go from we're getting by to we're in danger of closing very quickly. Now, I started talking to people about, of course, growing your club, getting members, and I started hearing some of the things like Sandra was saying. Oh, well, we did open houses and nobody came. Or one person told me, we stood out in front of the supermarket and handed out flyers to come join our, come see our club. And part of me is like, in front of the supermarket? When you go in front of the supermarket, you try to sell somebody a raffle ticket for, a quilt. You don't try to sell them a life-changing program. Well, having heard a bunch of complaining and a bunch of, gee, we've tried it and it doesn't work, I thought, I need to do something. So I made a decision to at least try to research how does one put on a successful membership building event. And we're going to cover what I've discovered or uncovered today. So things we'll discuss. We're going to discuss your range of membership building options, briefly. Some of the key decisions you'll have to make. Critical success factors to some of these different membership building options. Does everyone know what I mean by critical success factors? It's a business term, meaning these are absolutely the few things you have to do in order for it to be successful. Now, the first time I practiced this speech for my advanced club, I had CSFs there because I thought everyone knew CSFs was critical success factors, and my evaluator, who's a doctor, said, why are you talking about cerebral spinal fluid? So, critical success factors, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk very briefly about best practices. Elena is going to talk at length about marketing and publicizing your club. We are going to have a group exercise. and we'll have some Q&A at the end, and we also have a host of information we have put out on the web for you, and we'll show you where it is and what we have for you. So let's talk about our membership building. Oh, nope, source of data first. I am an analytic by nature and an engineer by training. So I wanted quantitative data. I wanted to be able to stand up here and tell you that a speechcraft was 75% more effective than open houses and so forth. Well, the place to go for quantitative data is TI research. I don't know if you're aware of it, but TI has a research department. So I emailed them, and then I called them, and I spoke to a very nice lady, and I asked them for whatever quantitative data they had about membership building events. They have none. And they're not planning on having any soon. So there is zero, nada quantitative data out there. So what we have for you today is qualitative data, which is the best we can do under the circumstances. Now, where do we get this? You can get some of this information from TI manuals. I got a lot of it. Who's here has a LinkedIn account? Who here belongs to a group on LinkedIn? A few of you, okay. There is a Toastmasters group on LinkedIn. There's actually several, but there's an official Toastmasters International group. And within those groups, there are discussions. And I have churned through all the different discussions on membership building events, looking for things people did that helped those events be successful. So that's a big source for data. Out on YouTube, there are YouTube videos, well, there's YouTube videos by marketing people. There's YouTube videos by Toastmasters groups. District 5 has a lot of YouTube videos, how-tos to do stuff. And they're out there. And we've talked to professionals. In Elena's case, she is a professional in this area. And of course, our own experience from being Toastmasters and area governors and division governors and so forth for 4 years. So that's our sources of data. Now, what are our membership building possibilities? This chart is my chart. It's basically my opinion, but I'll share it with you as I understand it. So at the low end, let me explain the axes. The bottom axis is the amount of club effort involved. This is low effort, that's high effort. On this axis is your prospect's commitment to growth. Now, I say the prospect's commitment to growth. You can't put up here prospect's chance of joining the club because that's affected by any number of things. You may have a prospect who's strongly committed to growth, but isn't going to join your club because your club meets at the wrong time and date. And the club down the street will work. But clubs, it's my assumption that a prospect's commitment to growth leads to an enhanced chance that they'll join, assuming they know you exist. Now, at the low end, we have individual invitations. And hopefully, we're all doing that anyway. Occasionally inviting friends, coworkers, people to come and join. And then next to that, we have membership building contests. Now, it's my assumption that a membership building contest, in most cases, you're just trying to organize the club to, in some way, get people to go out and do the individual invitations in a slightly more organized way, maybe even a competitive way. Now, I can tell you, I don't think it provides you with a huge advantage to just individual invitations. I may be wrong, but I don't think it does because most of the prospect's commitment to growth is based on their relationship with the invitor. And are they coming because they've heard what you've said and they think Toastmasters is wonderful, or are they coming because they're really tired of you bugging them and maybe they think if they'll show up to one meeting, you'll stop asking? Now, one of the other problems with membership contests is, do you, in your workaday world, meet new people all the time? One of my club members is a pastor, is out doing pastoral things. They're counseling and they're seeing people and they're talking about stuff. They're meeting people all the time. Guess who invites most of the guests to our club? I work on my computer out of my home. I don't meet anybody for work. Nobody. Unless I go out and do something unrelated to work, I don't meet people. Guess who has invited everybody he knows to the club, and now I have to wait till I meet somebody new to invite them. So if we have a membership contest, especially if it's an individual membership contest, who's going to win? The other person, the pastor. Now, one of the other things we can certainly do, and we must do, club website. TI says that if somebody just walks into your club, if somebody just happens to walk in, they weren't invited, no one went out and pursued them, they just walked in, the odds are they walked in because they saw your club webpage. That means our web pages have to be, interesting. They have to be alive. We have to keep them up to date. It has to be accurate. It's not rocket science here. There's not a lot of effort to making a web page that's at least acceptable. So that's worth it. Now we get into open houses, business campaigns, and speech crafts. This is, I think, where we get into some really interesting membership building opportunities. We're going to talk about the differences between open house, the different types of open houses, what a business awareness campaign is, and what a speech craft is, and so forth. And we'll talk about some of the key decisions about those. But you can see that, in this sense, if you're inviting somebody to your club for an open house, they're not just coming, typically, they're not just coming to hear about Toastmasters, they're coming for a particular reason. And their potential for being interested in joining is probably a little higher than if you just invited them to come along as Pat. And if you get them to come to a speech craft is typically 4, 6, 8 sessions long, and maybe 8 weeks long, depending on how you format it. If somebody actually goes to a speech craft and pays to go to speech craft that's 8 weeks long, by the time they're done, they're really committed to personal growth. That person has a really high likelihood of signing up with your club or some other club because they've gone through all of that. Of course, it's a lot more work for your club to do. So let's talk about some key decisions. One of the interesting things I found out from churning through the LinkedIn discussions was how many clubs did a moments of truth before they went out and planned an open house or business awareness campaign or speech craft. And there were a lot of people who said, wow, I'm glad we did that first because, they fixed stuff before they then went out and put their club in front of the public eye. I'm thinking about my own club. I'm a member of Swim Toastmasters. We just moved. We were meeting in the basement underneath a realty company. And we just moved to a Chinese restaurant. Now, when I first started with the club, just about a year ago, I hated this room underneath the realty. It's dark. You have to walk down this cramped, dark stairway. And we meet at night. So in the wintertime, it's just, this really dark stairway with this dim bulb. And low ceiling, lights in your eyes. From my perspective, not a good place to meet. It certainly didn't look professional. But it did meet one of the chief criteria for Toastmaster meeting places. It was free. And several of the club members who had been there for a long time had gone through the process when our club had lost where we were meeting before and struggled to find a new place and then found here. And they didn't want to go through that struggle again. And they were really happy with the free part. So when I became president and I said, hey, I'd like us to think about moving to a place that has a better image and presents a better front, I got stony-eyed. No, we don't want to do that. We like it here, it's free, and it's reliable. Well, thank God they're throwing us out. They are throwing us out because the guy who owns the realty company has decided to use his basement for something else entirely, and everybody who's meeting it for free has to go elsewhere. Thank God. Because now we're meeting in the back room of a Chinese restaurant, which looks nice. We may have to put up with a little bit of Chinese music in the background, but, we're dealing with it and we're figuring out the food stuff. So moments of truth can be an interesting and useful thing to do to figure out where your club's weaknesses are. There may be a reason why your club is struggling with membership. Wouldn't it be a good idea to identify that reason and address it before you start doing an open house to bring people in? Now, if you're going to do a membership contest, I think the key decision you need to make is this going to be a team contest? Left side of the room against right side of the room, men against women, oldsters against youngsters, however you want to break it up. Is this going to be a team contest, or is this going to be a contest amongst individuals? So you need to make that decision. And some people like to have contests and some people don't. Some people thrive on competition. Some people are competition avoiders. You know, find out what works for your club. Now, when it comes to open houses, we talked about this morning in Cheryl's event. There's really two types of open houses that people have. The first type of open house is, let's invite people in to see what Toastmasters is about, and we will tell them about Toastmasters and what it has done for us. And typically you have 2 or 3 speakers. You have a newbie talking about what it's like to be in Toastmasters now, and somebody who's at medium level or whatever, or possibly advanced level, talking about how Toastmasters has helped them, and so forth. That's the first style of open house. The second style of open house is a speaker topic focused open house. So you choose a topic that is of interest to a demographic that you want to attract. Let's say business people, just because that's an easy one to think about. So you choose a topic that is, let's say, of interest to business people, and then you find a speaker, maybe from your club, maybe from some other club, but you're typically a Toastmaster. But you find a speaker on that topic who can speak credibly and inspirationally on it, and you invite them in, and then you publicize the heck out of this sort of thing. You're not doing a lot of talking about Toastmasters, except maybe at the end of the meeting. Maybe at the end of the meeting, the MC for the night, the Toastmaster for the night, talks about a little bit about how Toastmasters helps you learn these skills, and would you like to come back and see what one of our meetings is like? But those are typically the 2 styles of open houses. You need to choose what style is going to work for you. Now, business awareness campaign. Has anybody here ever done a business awareness campaign? Has anybody here ever heard of a business awareness campaign? Okay, 2 hands went up. I'd never heard of this before I started doing research. It's described in the membership growth manual that Toastmasters puts out. And in a simplistic way, a business awareness campaign is your club members identifying a bunch of businesses in your area, dividing them up between you based on maybe who knows who, or who does business with what business, and going and talking with the HR directors or the public relation directors or the presidents or whoever in the management structure you can talk to, and letting them know your club is here and what the advantage of encouraging their employees to come to Toastmasters would be for them. It's letting the managers and employers know your club is here and that you could be of value to them by training their employees. So it's business awareness. That's what it's about, mostly. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these when we get to best practices. And finally, speechcraft. Now I mentioned, who here has done a speechcraft? Okay, way more. A speechcraft is it's a set of mini lessons about how to do all the stuff we do in Toastmasters. How to write a speech and put on a speech, how to evaluate, how to MC a meeting, how to stand up and do some impromptu speaking. All the things we learn in Toastmasters, you learn in speechcraft in a very condensed format. When I did one of these, we did 8 one-hour sessions once a week. And typically, if you're doing that, you replace your own club meeting with a speechcraft. And then you get a bunch of people to come. They're already coming to your location at your time for 6 to 8 weeks in a row. And when you're done, and they've paid you to come, and your club is basically the trainers. And when you're done, you say, wow, you've graduated, congratulations. And if you want to keep this up, if you want to continue to learn, if you want to join our club, we will take the money you gave us at the beginning and apply it towards your first 6 months of dues. So if they like what they've been doing, they just roll on into your club meeting, and keep going. The real question, if you're going to do speechcraft, is what format are you going to do? How long, and what price? Now, when I say what format, I mentioned typical is 6 or 8 sessions, 1 hour, 2 hours every week. There's a guy I read about who does one-day speechcrafts. One day, 8 to 10 hours long. Boy, that's got to be brutal, but he does it, and he's done it multiple times, so apparently he's getting people to not only pay to come, but then sign up to join his club. There are other clubs who do 4 sessions. They just do 4 sessions and then it's over. So you figure out how it works. And if your club's interested in doing a speechcraft, Toastmasters is a whole kit. You can buy the kit. It's got participant guides. It's got leader guides. It's got everything in it. The single biggest question you need to ask yourself, your club needs to ask itself, is who's our target audience? I think this is one of the most interesting questions, especially because often when you're talking with a Toastmaster, you say, who's our target audience for this event? And most Toastmasters want to go, well, everyone. Everyone should join Toastmasters. Everybody needs Toastmasters. That may be true, but you can't market to everyone. Unless you're Coca-Cola, you cannot market to everyone. If you want to have a message that gets to people's ears and gets a few butts in the seat, you have to narrow your communication to a niche of people. So who are they going to be? Now, my club right now is working on an open house. We're going to do ours in April. And I tried to get us down to one group of people, but the committee finally said, nope, we want to do 2. We're going to do business people and seniors. Okay, we're going to try to make that work. We're going to try to make that work. Now, you got to realize one of the reasons we're going after seniors is this is SQUIM. This is a retirement community. We're a little senior heavy. So there's a reason to go after the seniors. But they also want to get some business people in, probably so they know some people who can actually afford to pay dues. So we're going to go after both. But what we're doing is we're going to put on a storytelling. We're going to do an open house that is topic speaker focused. We're going to have a storyteller, an expert storyteller come and talk to us about how to use stories. And she's going to focus it, how to use stories in business and how to use stories basically to entertain your friends and kids. So we're going to see how it works. Personally, I would have liked to have seen us focus on one demographic and then do another one later, but you got to go with what your committee says. But doing that target audience, that can be a tough conversation because some members, some people really fear narrowing the communication. But the thing is, if you think that this is going to be your one and only membership building event, if you're only going to do this one open house, then yeah, limiting your audience might be a problem. Well, if you're going to do an open house every quarter, pick a different audience every quarter. One quarter do business people, next quarter do seniors, next quarter do sailors, next quarter do left-footed bipeds. I don't know. So it doesn't, if you're going to do multiple open houses a year, suddenly narrowing your niche to one target market isn't that big a deal. So let's talk about some critical success factors in doing a membership event. You need participation from the club. Now, my tendency is to say, you need 100% participation. But, people tend to take some things you say literally. You need high level of participation from your club. There's always going to be somebody who goes like, no, I can't do it. Fine. You need high levels of participation from your club. If you describe doing a membership building event, an open house, a speechcraft, or something in your club, and they all look at you like they're bored, fine. Then we're not going to do it. And we're going to stay at this level, and we're going to struggle, and struggle and struggle. If you want to get out of struggling, give me a call. So, but you need high levels of participation from the club. See if you can gather that. Now, time. time to plan and to execute. The single greatest mistake that was talked about in the LinkedIn groups was not giving themselves enough time to plan and execute, and in particular, plan and execute marketing, PR and marketing, for the event. Now, in November, I went to it was a meeting at a club, and Adam Roseland's name has already been mentioned. I have a couple of things I'll show you from his. Interesting speaker. He was there talking to them about how can a club, you do a speaker-focused open house. That's what he was talking to the club about that. And they got so enthused about it, they decided to do a speaker-focused open house using Adam Roseland the following month. And while he's good, while Adam Roseland is a good speaker and he's very inspirational, and they were all excited, I was sitting there saying to myself, not giving themselves enough time. One, they're going to be doing this event in December, a bad month in general. And two, they only gave themselves 4 weeks to get all marketing related work done. And my understanding is they had a session that was very well attended by their own club, and Adam did a great job, and I think maybe they only had 1 or 2 guests. And they need more time. Because to really get the word out takes 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks of just marketing. Never mind the planning. 6 to 8 weeks of just doing marketing. Now, of course, one of the things, if anybody here has done marketing, one of the things any marketer knows is somebody needs to hear about your event or see something on your event that needs to, their consciousness needs to be pinged on by your event 5, 6, 7 times before they'll even notice it. And what I mean by that is the flyer can be up there in the grocery store, and it can be up there in the library, and it can be up there in their church, and it can be on the wall at work. And they'll walk by the flyer 6 or 7 times before anyone sees it. Before it gets into the consciousness, oh, there's a flyer there. And they stop and read it. Or they need to hear about it on the radio or so forth. So you need time to get all of that material out there so the world can see it enough times so it'll enter their consciousness and they can decide to come to your event. We discussed this during Cheryl's session this morning. You need the appearance of a healthy, happy club. There was a great example on a YouTube video from District 5. They had a club that was down to 4 members. It was about to fold. Now, the 4 members wanted to keep their club, but 4 members can't keep a club. And if they had done any kind of membership building thing by themselves, it probably would have failed because people would have come in and said, there's only 4 members here. But the district basically came in, the district team invaded, talked to the members, and they all worked together, and they put on a speechcraft. Now, the 4 members couldn't do it all by themselves, so they got all the people in the district helping. By the time the speechcraft was done, they had a brand new club. But they had the appearance of being a healthy, happy club because they got other people involved. So if you're a club of 8 people and you're struggling and you want to do an open house, get the club down the street to come and help out. Either invite them, just come and be an enthusiastic member and tell them about Toastmasters, or one of the other things we had somebody mention this morning was 2 clubs getting together, doing an open house together. And, letting people know we're 2 clubs, one club meets here at this time and one club meets there at that time, pick which club you want. And they split the members. But you need to make sure you have that. Now, these next 2 points really are kind of synchronous. Having a single point of RSVP, maybe that's arguable. You could have 3 or 4 people receiving RSVPs and coordinating, but you need to be able to know how many people are coming, how many people are going to show up. You don't want to plan a meeting for 25 people and have 45 show up, and 20 of them have to stand. You don't want to have food for 35 and have 7 people show up. Or, even worse, food for 50 and 25 show up. Because then you spend a lot of money on food that isn't getting eaten. So you need to have the single points of RSVP. But where this really gets interesting is when you're trying to measure your marketing. Now, I mentioned, if you're only going to do this one membership building event, if you're only going to do this one open house and you're never going to do another one again, then you don't care about measuring your marketing. Who cares? If we're going to do the speechcraft and if we don't get enough members, the club's going to close. Well, maybe we don't care about measuring our marketing. But if you think you're ever going to do another membership building event again, then it makes sense to measure the effectiveness of all of our different marketing methods. Now, I'm talking about marketing methods, we're talking about, gee, we put out a flyer. Maybe we put out 2 different flyers. In case of my club, we're going to have a flyer targeting business people and a flyer targeting seniors. Plus, we're going to put a press release in the newspaper, possibly multiple press releases in the newspaper. Plus, we'll call the local radio station and try to get ads on. So I've just mentioned 4 different vehicles, 4 different vehicles we're going to send out there. Now, if we want to measure which of these are being effective, if, let's say I'm the single point of RSVP, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but let's say I am. Well, I have a cell phone. I could have one of the ads say, call this RSVP to Kyle's cell phone. I have a landline, so another ad could say RSVP to Kyle's landline. I have a personal email, so one of them could be RSVP to Kyle's email. Another one could be RSVP to Kyle's wife's email. If I need another one, I could have them RSVP to my wife's cell phone. So right there I've mentioned 5 different vehicles for me to get RSVPs that would tell me very quickly which of our marketing methods are being effective. You know, and gee, the flyer we made up that we wrote ourselves is doing really well, and the one we used that was Toastmaster generic is really not delivering. So next time we won't use that flyer. You know, we learn and improve. That's why that's why measuring that marketing is so essential. Now let's talk about some best practices. Now I've got a few sheets in my hand. They're best practices. These are not on your table. These are out on the District 32 website. The slides you're looking at right now, and the best practices, and the handout in front of you, and the couple of open house flyers I'm going to show you in a minute, all of those are all out on the District 32 website in the How to Grow Your Club location. And we show you where that is at the end. So I've got a page of best practices for membership contests. I'm just going to share the 3 that struck me with you. If you're going to do a membership building contest, actually have a real contest with a prize that people want to win. No, I saw some people talking about, yeah, we had a membership contest where if you did all the work and you were the winner, you got a mug. Woo! That's going to make me go out of my comfort zone to invite somebody. No, I mean, especially if you're doing a team-based contest, well, it's easy. One team buys the other team dinner, or one team buys the other team, buys the pizza, or one team, does the potluck, and the other team just gets to sit there and eat. So that's a fairly easy one, But there are some people who are motivated by wine. I'm not a wine drinker, but I know there's some people who are motivated by wine. Maybe one of your club members can get you a nice bottle of wine really cheap, or a dinner for 2 at a really nice restaurant at a discount, or even free, donated. Get some prize that people would really actually want. So, moving on. When you're talking with people, when you're talking with prospects, whether you're talking to them before the meeting or during the meeting, remember the WIFM. And I know you've all heard of that. What's in it for me? Well, in this case, it's what's in it for them. You need to be talking to them about the things that interest them, not the things that interest you. Or I should say, us. And one of the other best practices for contests is spread the work around. If you want to run a membership contest and you're the only person doing the work, that's going to be a lot of work. But with a committee of 4 or 5 people, it suddenly becomes not so much work. So those are out there for your perusing. Best practices for open houses. I've got 2 pages of those. Ask for the sale during the meeting. Actually asking people to join. Now, there's a club president in my area, and he came to the Division B makeup training, and during that training, the person doing the training said, ask the question. So when a guest comes at the end of the meeting, do you say, hey, we hope you'll come back and see us again? Or do you say, would you like to join? And almost all the presidents have said, oh, yeah, we say something like, would you like to come back and see us again? Well, maybe they do, or maybe they want to join. But most guests are not going to ask to join. They're going to wait to be asked to join. So ask them to join. If the words, do you want to join, don't come out of your mouth, don't come out of our mouths, then most people aren't going to join. They're going to walk away. And they're going to say, wow, that was great. And those people are enthusiastic. I wish they wanted me. So what a concept. We actually have to ask them. Another best practice for open houses. Have food. Very simple. You can get really elaborate. You know, there's one club that likes to do, they actually go out and get donated ice cream to do a ice cream social during their open house. And of course they give credit to the company that donates the ice cream and so forth, so that you know, that company gets a little free PR. But you know, have some food, because food may not get them in the door if they're not interested, but it may keep them there a little longer. It may be the deciding factor for them actually coming. And it certainly it's a good opportunity to sit around and over the food you get to talk and socialize and ask them what's in it for them. What are they interested in? Choose a theme directed at a particular group. Now, that goes directly to the theme-based open houses. So depending upon what niche you choose, would depend upon where you go there. And if you're doing a Toastmaster-based open house, meaning you're not focusing on a topic and speaker, you're focusing on telling people about Toastmasters, then you want to display a range of skill sets. You may not want to have the most amazing speaker you have stand up and be a speaker, because that may intimidate people. You may want that most amazing speaker your club has to be the Toastmaster for the night. And have a medium-range person speak, and then a beginner speak. Have some good evaluators, because you know you want to show people that our evaluations are, you know, effective and constructive. But display that range of skill sets. In the business awareness campaign, I found this fascinating. So the business awareness campaign, as described by Toastmasters, is going out and talking to businesses and letting them know we exist, and letting them know what we're about. But this particular group, they do a business awareness campaign, and then they invite the bosses to come check out the club on a particular night. It's basically boss night. It's an open house focusing on people who run businesses or are managers in businesses. What a concept. So they're not actually focusing on necessarily trying to get those people as members, although that may happen. They're focusing on trying to get those people to send their employees to be members. It's a slightly different twist on the same idea. Use the features, benefits, and value chart. Who has seen the features, benefits, and value chart? Okay, I have a copy of it here. Give me a second. My apologies, my handouts have gotten mixed up. Yep, oh, here it is. Yep, got it. This is the features, benefits, and values chart. You can get it for free. It's a PDF on the TI website. And in your handout, you have the link to this chart. So when you're talking to a business person, this is priceless. Have it in your hand, because it talks about what happens in the meeting, what's the benefit to the employee of that, and what's the value of that to the organization. Features, benefits, and value. Right. Now the, oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. If I were going to have bosses coming in, I would not only hand that out, I would. One of the things they mention I didn't mention it as one of the best practices, but one of the things they talked about is having toastimonials, where you prep your Toastmasters who may not have another role in the meeting. Maybe they're not an evaluator, they're not a speaker, they're not the MC of the night. But you need a couple of people give a testimonial about Toastmasters, so it's a testimonial. And you know, it's a tabletop. It's a minute to 2 minutes on what they've gotten out of Toastmasters. Well, if I were going to be talking to bosses, I would want every boss to have this in front of them, and I would want to have 2 or 3 people prepped to stand up and give a testimonial that touches on one of these features, benefits, and values. So that they see, so that not only do they see this in front of them, but they understand this is real. Here's people in front of me who have done this and gotten that benefit. Now, the last best practices I wanted to talk about, was there a question? Comment?
You alluded to, I don't see it up there, but alluded to December as a bad month to have, from the research, which month's the best months to have open house?
Okay. I have heard that January is sometimes a good month to have an open house or hold a membership building event because, you know, it's the new year, people are getting started, they're thinking about goals, they're thinking about resolutions, so you might plan it then. Now, if you do, that means you're doing a lot of your marketing work in the middle of the holiday season, which can be a mess. So if your club's willing to sacrifice some of their time in the holiday season to put on a January event, great. Talk to your club members.
There's so many distractions there, or you really can see these flyers and stuff that are rushing around.
Well, that's a very good point. My own personal, I want to talk about another good time. Another potentially good time is, of course, Toastmasters Week, February. Now, it's too late now to get ready for Toastmasters Week now. If we started planning in November, we could be ready for Toastmasters Week in February. But, you know, as an area governor, I was mentioning to my clubs when I visited them that Toastmasters Week would probably be the first or second week in February. So if you wanted to plan an open house event and take advantage of that PR, and it's your opinion as to how much of an advantage your PR would get by the governor declaring Toastmasters Week or not. Some people, one person said this morning, this is a huge issue in their club. Of course, it's a club that it runs in the government building. You know, I'm out in Squim. I personally don't think anyone's going to care that it's Toastmasters Week. I may be wrong. So it's a matter of opinion. One of the things that I thought I had it on here. I know it's in the best practices, but I didn't circle it and I didn't mention it. There are 3 different membership building contests. There's the Smedley Award in the August, September. There's the Talk Up Toastmasters, which is happening February and March. And the other one is Beat the Clock in May and June. So you may want to think about putting your membership building event at the beginning of one of those 2-month stretches so that you can get those 5 members. Each of those contests are exactly the same. It's get 5 new members. 5 new members to your club. They don't have to be new Toastmasters. They could be, you know, dual member or renewing member, but 5 new people to your club. Get them within that 2 months, and you get the award. So you may want to plan your membership event to be right at the beginning of one of those 2-month stretches, so you can do that and get those people in. I do not have any statistical guidance that says, you know, these things work best in October versus April. Any other questions? A couple of comments about best practices for speechcraft. There was a whole bunch of discussion about the biggest mistakes. So in this case, one of the biggest mistakes in marketing a speechcraft is calling it a speechcraft. Because nobody wants to go to a speechcraft, they don't know what it means. And if you say it's a speechcraft being put on by Toastmasters, nobody knows what that means. Most people do not care, most people do not go to a meeting because they want to join Toastmasters. They don't go to a speechcraft because they want to go to a speechcraft. They go to get over their fear of public speaking. They go to grow their confidence in front of an audience. They go to grow their ability to persuade. Depending upon who your demographic is, depends upon what message you're going to put together, but make sure the title of the event and the message match the demographic and speak to them. One of the other biggest mistakes for speechcrafts is not charging. The general consensus was you should charge enough, at least you should charge enough to cover the first 6 months of dues plus the expenses for the event. Now, there are people who charge a lot more than that because they're getting a lot of they're getting a lot of value. And let's face it, one of the very twisted rules that marketers learn is that people's perception of the value they're receiving is based on what they're paying. So there are some clubs that charge hundreds of dollars for a speechcraft, and they get it. And then some of those people join the club, and their club has a huge bank account. Oh, one of the other great best practices for speechcraft. Don't just tell your audience what they need to know to attend the event. Tell them what they need to tell their boss or their spouse so that they can come to the event. So you're not only trying to get somebody to, like with a speechcraft, maybe come once a week for 8 weeks. You need to give them the material they need to convince their boss and their wife to let them go for 8 weeks. Now, I believe we've covered critical success factors, best practices. We're going to move on to, in my opinion, probably the most important part of this presentation, which is the marketing and PR part. Because remember, back in the critical success factors, the single biggest factor for clubs being successful was having enough time to do the marketing and PR part of it. So to lead you through that is Elena, Brenna.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, you're live too. Great. Okay. And I'm so glad to be able to share some of this with you. Thank you, Kyle. Kyle has told us about the types of events we can have and deciding what event to use during some of those moments of truth to take the temperature of our club. And I'm here to tell you about how to promote or publicize your event and your club. So, as I was taking down my Christmas tree last night, oh yeah, that's me. I'm still recovering. But I was thinking about what I was going to tell you today. And I thought promoting your Toastmasters Club is a lot like getting ready for the holidays. If you don't plan ahead for Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate, there aren't going to be any gifts under the tree, no goodies to eat, not much fun to be had. And it's the same, if you don't promote your Toastmasters Club, no new icebreakers being given, no new member fees being collected, and all those great things that come from getting new members. So I'll be telling you a little bit about public relations today. That's your promotion and how that can help you grow your club, both by getting visitors to your club, to your regular club meetings, and also to your special events, because I want you to build awareness of your club throughout the year. But first, I want to ask you if I can have a little feedback quickly on, let's see if I can move to this one. Is it off?
The light's on, it's on.
It's on. It's on now.
Thank you. All right. If someone can give me a couple of things, not the best events you've had for membership, but the best promotion of those events. What do you think has been most effective for your club in promoting your club or promoting events? Yes? Word of mouth, okay. And somebody else?
movies you can use, and then in conjunction with that, there's a lot of history. So this word of mouth and tradition that we have, I mean,
But people see that reader board
Yeah,
every week.
Well, it's electronic.
It's an electronic,
Right, they have to go in and read the messages for our corporation, our shipyard.
I see.
And so it's convenient.
Is it an intranet?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's an electronic bulletin board, we'll call it. Is that about right?
That sounds good.
Okay.
And
One
the
more?
pen's too light to read.
What's that?
The pen is not, use another pen.
And I'm writing really small for your group, but don't worry,
The color.
black.
There you go.
Word of mouth.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Electronic, we'll just leave that. Save some time. One more. Yes.
You can do, like talk show, radio, interviews.
Okay, that's ambitious, okay. But we will talk just briefly about radio. With radio, you might have a chance with a public service announcement. If you have a local radio station, they can do these like 30 to 60-second PSAs, they call them. And if you can write up something nice and short, especially for an event coming up, they very possibly will read that. You'll hear them sometimes if you really are paying attention on radio. Okay, so that's a few things that work, and I think word of mouth, definitely, and that personal invitation. So those are things that you found that work. How about something that you've tried that you say, that's no good, that doesn't work?
Facebook.
Facebook, okay. Can you see that? Okay. Another? Everything else works? My God, that's great. You guys are doing well. You don't need me. Okay. Now, let me make a comment about Facebook. Facebook is great, but I think it's great for internal PR, to keep your club excited and to communicate with your club. I don't think you're going to get a lot of traffic from outsiders to your Facebook page. However, having that Facebook page will help your website and your club's ranking in Google. So the more things that are out there on the web about your club, the better you're going to show up when somebody starts looking for public speaking in their area. So don't dismiss Facebook entirely. It's got its purposes, just maybe not for publicizing your event, your event or your club to outsiders. Okay. Thank you for your participation. Now, I have another question. I'm not going to write down any answers. It's a rhetorical question. Are you one of these people who's shopping now for Christmas presents for next December? Oh boy, look at you guys, aren't you good? I mean, you're always on the lookout for gifts. You buy people's birthday presents 6 months in advance. Oh God, I hate you. But if you're a forward planner like that, that's perfect if you're promoting your Toastmasters Club. Because you really, as Kyle said, we need to be looking at our promotion for a special event no less than 2 months in advance, preferably more if you really want to do it upright. Now, let me refer you to the page 3 of the handout. I hope everybody got one. If not, you'll be able to download it. But page 3, just that has really the basics of some of the basics of PR. These are the types of things that I really recommend you be doing throughout the year. And I'm a believer still in news releases. Now, that's the term these days among PR professionals. They don't call them press releases anymore. They call them news releases. Somehow press release got a bad name, so now it's a news release. So I may use the terms interchangeably. It's the same thing, a news release and a press release. And some of the events, I'm not going to read you through the handout list here. You know most of these things in terms of getting your events up on community calendars, having club business cards, developing a flyer for your club. Some of the events that are appropriate for news releases, it's news. If the newspaper or the radio or the television that you send it to has to find your news release to be newsworthy, something that a newspaper thinks is news that their readers need to see now. So, now, some of those things you don't have to be curing cancer. What you want to promote is your members' accomplishments. Are they earning their CCs, their ACs, their DTMs? Are you going to have a ceremony where you present them? Maybe a district dignitary is coming to present the award. Are you having a club anniversary, officer installations, new officers, speech contests, and contest winners? That is definitely of interest. In fact, Kyle, may I have the first
Sure.
slide? So in this case, this is a news release. It's a bit self-serving because it is about me. But this was last fall when I was moving up from the division to the district level. And we issued a press release to my local hometown newspaper, which is the Port Townsend Leader. I happen to live on the Olympic Peninsula in Port Ludlow. So we submitted this actually through my division governor, had this submitted to the Port Townsend Leader. And that's the original press release, which includes on the bottom, I don't expect you to read this here, but on the bottom there is the TI boilerplate, which Toastmasters really want you to include. All that is on the template for news releases that I'll tell you a little bit more about later. And may I have the next slide, Kyle? So that's what we ended up with, about 2 little inches of copy, a lot less than what we sent, but it is a small success because we got it in there. So you can see this is a broadsheet here, and that's the article down there, that little bit, down at the bottom of the page. However, it was in the paper and it will be on the web in perpetuity, and in it I mentioned, we made sure we mentioned the Port Townsend Club, and their website is included in that article. And so when that's on the web forever, somebody can click right on that website and go to it and find it. Now, I'm not a member of that club, but because it got into my local paper, and that's the local club, I promoted that club. Another place I've had success is with a news release on a club anniversary, and that was for my home club, New Speakeasy on Bainbridge Island. If I can have the next slide, Kyle. So this was what I sent to the paper, and if you'll go ahead and give me the next slide. This was on our 10th anniversary. This is what's on the web even to this day, and that was about 3 years ago. And I think that also helps our Google rankings to have that still on the web. So it's always possible to, you don't know what's going to catch their eye, but keep sending them. You send it, they may not print it. They print it, maybe nobody reads it. If it's read, it may or may not be acted on. But patience and persistence, just keep going for it. And you will have success from time to time, and it's part of that, getting your message out there and your presence known, part of that 6 to 7 touches that you're trying to get. 6 or 7 times you're getting in front of people's eyeballs. Because then the next time when you're having an event, they'll say, oh yeah, I've heard of Toastmasters, I've heard of that club. They've been around for a while, they must be stable and solid and have something to offer. I'm going to go check them out. So as I said, I will tell you where to go for help creating your news release if you're not that comfortable doing it yourself. But first, I'm going back to Christmas just for a moment, or your special event really is where I want to go. Because the time for promoting your club event is like that time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You really want to get going and get it organized early. In fact, you need more than that time, as I said earlier, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You might be making a list of the people you want to send Christmas cards to. And that's like preparing a list of where you want to promote your event. Now, most of this list for your event is going to be the same as your year-round promotion list that we looked at in the basics in your handout. And another thing I would suggest is to reach out to your past visitors who didn't join the first time around. Email or phone them, tell them we're having a special event you might be interested in seeing and hearing. Don't say, oh boy, I really hope you didn't join last time, I really want you to come back and join. Sell them on the special event that you're having. That is if you're having a special event, not just a Toastmasters-oriented open house. Now, you probably don't make your own greeting cards. I mean, I haven't made a Christmas card, birthday card, since I was in the 4th grade, probably. But to promote your event, you have to do the equivalent of that by creating your news release and your flyers. Now, if you're not already familiar with that, you don't have the knowledge or feel you don't have the creativity, then Toastmasters comes to your rescue. On the TI website, you'll find templates for news releases and event flyers. I can really recommend that news release template. There's several of them for different events and circumstances, and it's a good guide for anyone who doesn't already know how to write one. You know, there's a link in your handout to where you'll find that. However, I find the event flyer not so good. There's not much room to put any information in it. So I would suggest if there's anyone in your club who can do layout of a jazzy looking flyer, put them on the job. If they say, I can't write, the information on the flyer, somebody else can write the copy. Let's make it a team effort and get that flyer to look good, have the information, and be attractive. Now, if you go to the Toastmasters International PR section, you'll find links to get the Toastmasters logo, the banner. You'll have the correct colors for the branding of Toastmasters if you want to use any of that in the development of your flyer. That's kind of up to you. And you can find all these things on the TI website. After you log in and you click on Leadership Central, that tab, then you get a drop-down menu. And in the center column of that drop-down menu is Public Relations. Click on that, you go to a page that has links to these news release, the press release templates, the logos, all these great things. So you can call me old-fashioned because I still like to watch the original 1934 film version of Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Yeah, that's the best. And I still believe in the news release. I think it's the foundational piece of public relations. If you have one going, then you can work all your other stuff off of that. You have your information that you're going to put on your flyer. You have information for your little email blast. You have everything organized there for you. But I am trying to enter the 21st century, and I've shared some of that with you on page 4 of the handout. I do talk about Facebook. I do mention Facebook there, listed there, a Facebook page for your club. But as I said earlier when it was brought up, I really like that more for internal PR. You're doing PR internally too because you want to keep your current members interested and wanting to come to meetings all the time. Twitter, a club Twitter account, you can use that to promote events by having a hashtag for your location, your club name, and say a few words about your upcoming event. You can have a link to your flyer, for the event there on Twitter. And I also mentioned something called meetup.com. And now, this is not a singles dating site, in case you're not familiar with it. It sounds like it could be. But it is some place that people go to find groups that are of interest to them. My club on Bainbridge has found really good success through meetup.com recently. Now, it does cost money to organize a group. It doesn't cost you anything to have a sort of an account where you're just looking for groups of interest. But if you want to be the organizer, it costs money. I think in the end it costs about $120 a year. If you have the budget, I highly recommend it. Lately, many of our guests and some who have joined have come to us through our meetup group page. And as I said, we have a member who already has one for his business purposes, but he's very kindly included our club as one of the groups he's organized. Now, we have more members on the meetup page than we have members in our club. Not all of these people have visited a meeting, but I have hopes that if we keep communicating with them, some more of them will arrive. But as I said, a lot of people who visited lately have come through that, so it's worthwhile to explore that. And also, I have a bonus tip on page 5, something new that I'm just now experimenting with. In fact, Kyle alerted me to the existence of this QR code generator. You can for free, if there's a paid account, but for free you can generate a QR code that is those funny little things that you read with your smartphone, if you have a QR code reader in your smartphone. And once it reads that, it'll take you to whatever it's linked to a flyer. In this case, if you experiment with the one on here, it takes you to the flyer for this event. Well, I didn't have time to be more creative. But it is, it can go to a YouTube video, it can take you to an email address, to a phone number, to your website, to your Facebook page, to any number of things. The list is there on the homepage for this QR generator. So try that out. As I said, I'm just now learning how that works, experimenting with it, but I think it could be very valuable, especially if you have like a flyer that you have to put behind glass, say at a library, which is what we have to do, and you're having an event and you want people to take the information away with them. If you have a QR code on there, they can read that right through the glass and have that information on their phone. So it's a valuable new tool. So these days, as I'm sure you're all well aware, there are so many more options and opportunities for us to spread the word about our Toastmasters Club, much more than there used to be, where we no longer need to be entirely at the mercy of reporters and editors. We can be our own publishers. We can do it on the web. We don't have to wait for them to decide that our club's achievements or events are newsworthy enough to go in the paper. We can be the captains of our own publicity ships. So on the handout, you have a lot of things that will link you up to the information. TI has a great big manual for public relations called Let the World Know. It's about 60 pages long. It's a PDF downloadable for free. That link is also in the handout. There's more than you could ever wish to know about doing PR for TI, for your Toastmasters Club in that manual. There's nothing like doing it and trying to keep pushing. Try all the means that are at your disposal. Now, having said that, don't try them all at once. concentrate on one or two of these methods if you're new to them. You know, concentrate on your Twitter account if you think you want to go that route. Or maybe there's a member of your club who's a Twitter maven, who's always tweeting. Let that person have the club account and ask them to tweet out events and announcements. If somebody else is a Facebook addict, let them handle the Facebook group page. You know, this whole getting the word out is really for your entire club to be involved in. Not just the presidents, the PR person, the membership person. Not just your officers. The whole club really can get involved and take ownership. So just like at some point in your life, you found out there's no Santa Claus. Oh, I hope I'm not breaking the news. Well, anyway, even if there is a Santa, I'm sure you all know that there is no Toastmasters fairy who comes and delivers new members to your club. No, it's by your club's own efforts that you'll bring in more members. And PR is one very important aspect of these efforts. It can be a very big task, I know, but the rewards of spreading the great story of your Toastmasters Club is worth the effort. Now I think we're going to do some exercise.
Group exercise.
Great. I'll hand it back to you, Kyle.
Okay, where's the mic? There's a handheld. Elena, would you help pass these out?
I will.
Okay,
Per table?
one per table, one per
All
table.
right.
So I went around and I put one of these sheets on every table. It's a group exercise sheet. Elena is handing out a little slip of paper, which is the other piece you need. Elena is handing out a little piece of paper that has your scenario, and each scenario is a little different. And what I want you to do is just gather together with the people at your table. You will elect a secretary to write down your answers, and you will elect somebody to present your answers, and we'll give you a few minutes to work through the various questions based on your scenario. Work through the questions here. Oh, okay. Okay, we had 8 and we have 9 tables. Okay, we're missing a scenario. Gentlemen, why don't you go join them? We'll have one big table over there. I want to let you know about some things that are available to you. So, well, first of all, in the district, if you are thinking about doing a membership building event, obviously you can talk to your area governors, your district governors, talk to other nearby clubs, get other people involved to help you out. Now, there's 2 different downloadable areas. There's a downloadable area on the District 32 website. I'll actually show you where that is in a second. And there's the TI website. What I want to let you know, it was our intent, Elena's and my intent when we put this together, that we would be providing you with a bunch of material, a boatload of material, so that you can take some version of this out to your own clubs, whether it's to your club or whether you're an area governor or a division governor, that you can stand up there in front of a club and talk authentically about any of these membership building ideas. For instance, my own club has already chosen to do an open house. I'm not going to do the whole presentation for them, but I am going to go in and talk about open houses, critical success factors for open houses, best practices for open houses, and so forth. But we're making a boatload of material available to you out there. The exercise you just did is taken out of Kyle's PR and marketing plan, which is out on the District 32 website. Hello? There we go. Okay, so if you go out to the District 32 website, you go to the public download section, you click there, whoops, that brings you to this page. Now, those are the files that were out there last night. I gave the PowerPoint, this actual PowerPoint, to Sarah. So if it's not out there now, it will be sometime everything's out there now. So all of these files are out here for you to download and look at, for you to share with your clubs. Just give them away. You know, we're not trying to hoard anything here. This is all here for public use. Go out and train your clubs, give speeches to your clubs, talk about your clubs, about membership building events, and share this with them. Our goal in sharing this with you is just to elevate all of District 32 by letting clubs know what they need to do to hold a successful event, so that less and less we hear the, oh, we've done that, it didn't work, and more we hear the, wow, we did that, and it really worked. No, I remember when I was telling you I was going out and reading a bunch of these things, in some of the best practices notices, I just took whole quotes right out of LinkedIn, stuck it in there, because some of them are just too good to miss. There's a club out there, they went and held an open house, and in one night they doubled the size of their club. They went from 20 members to 40 members. That's a successful event. You know, it can be done. If our clubs haven't done it in the past, maybe we need to tweak what we're doing. So that's what this presentation is about. Out there is an open house checklist. This is Adam Roseland's open house checklist. TI has an open house checklist. It's horrible. It's horrible. Adam's is pretty good. There's sample flyers. I have a couple of Adam's flyers here. They're not bad flyers. Maybe, I think you might be able to do better if you're really targeting a specific audience. But they're not bad flyers. They're certainly better than the generic Toastmaster flyers you find out there. The last thing I want to say is on your table is an evaluation form. Elena and I want to improve this presentation so we can do it and do it better next time. So please take a minute to fill this out. It's like 3 minutes to 3, so if you take a minute to fill it out, you can still pack up and be out of here just about 3 o'clock. I'll leave them on that table as you walk out.
Kyle, do you have more copies of Adam's checklist?
It's out on the web. It's out on the web page. It's out on the web. Everything we've shown you here, the exercise you did today and the scenarios you went, is out there on the web. I think the only thing that's not out there on the web is this evaluation form. Everything else is out there on the web, including the handouts, the PowerPoint slides, everything. So let's go out and grow some clubs.